Hello, I'm Azai. Welcome back to the Grisaia. This will be the last episode that I will be recording today. Oh, I was gonna get a short snack or a small snack, but I ate a lot of cookies with some coffee. Feels great though. We also got some cream puffs downstairs from the Buddhism prayer thing that I said about them. But yes, let us continue on. I think last time we were trying to go on a date with Sachi. Like our classmates were using Yuji for a tiny bit. Surprisingly, not Michiru nor Yumiko. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about the date. I actually don't remember about this date at all. So we'll see. I do apologize for keeping you waiting. Wait, was that supposed to be Sachi? Oh, it is. There was no name on the text box, so I wasn't sure if that was me or not. No, that's... mate uniform after all, huh?
メイド服はメイド服でも、これは最近購入した外出用のおしゃれ着でして、胸元の赤いリボンもこう、より色鮮やかに。
I don't think I see the difference, Sachi, but I'll take you on that. I'll take your word for it. Okay, I get it. Actually, I can't see any difference whatsoever, but I suppose I'll have to take the maid expert's word on this one. Right then, as for the plan, we decided this pretty suddenly, so I have absolutely nothing.
やっぱりそうですよね。
So for today, I thought we could do whatever you feel like, Sachi.
私がやりたいことですか?
That's right. Even if it's cleaning the dorm or bayonet drills, I'm up for it. Whatever you feel like is fine.
そうですね。
Sachi places a hand on her cheek, shuts her eyes, and begins to think the matter over. If nothing's coming to mind, you can say so.
すみません。私やっぱり自分から案を出すのは苦手みたいで。
Come to think of it, you told me the same thing back when I transferred in.
はい。
When she was a kid, Sachi used to constantly invent new games and drag me into them. It's probably safe to say this is another area of her personality strongly influenced by the trauma that accident inflicted on her.
なので今日はゆうくんが普段していることを一緒にするというのはいかがでしょうか?
My typical activities basically come down to training and reading. Might be a bit of a stretch to call that a date, don't you think?
それは大丈夫です。どんな内容でも私とゆうくんがデートだと思えば、それはもう立派なデートです。
I guess you're not wrong? I see. Thanks to JB and Chizuru's incessant grumbling, I had a pretty fixed image of a date as something like dinner at an expensive restaurant with a skyline view. But Sachi's absolutely right. The important thing is what the experience means to the people involved, not whether it meets some arbitrary societal standard. Alright, in that case, why don't you tag along in my training today?
ありがとうございます。
Keep in mind, my training's no joke. This may be a date, but be sure to approach it with the utmost caution. My training's no joke too, Yuji. The average Joe will definitely not be able to keep up with my training.
は、了解したであります。
Are you ready, Ranger Komine?
はい。運動用のメイド服に着替えてきたであります。
I still can't see the difference, Sachi. 10 minutes later, as Sachi holds her rifle, reed broom, in a classic shouldering position, I bellow my approval. Alright, well done. Also, you will respond to any further orders with an immediate Hwa! That clear?
Ranger!
Okay, that's a Ranger. I don't know why it got localized as Hwa. Not bad. You squeal a bit better than your average stuck pig. We'll be starting off with a nice easy round of squat jumps. You know the drill?
以前インターネット上の動画で確認したことがありますです。
Ho. They say you're always prepared, Komine, and it seems like they're right. if you can't cut it as a ranger, you have a bright future selling cookies with the Girl Scouts. In deference to your shrewdness, I'll permit you to substitute the regulation 3.5 kilogram rifle for that broom of yours.
は、ありがとうございます、軍曹殿。
Alright then, your target for this drill is 30 repetitions. I hear you've been clambering down schoolhouse walls with those legs. Let's see what they can do.
レンジャー !1、2、3、4...
After offering her energetic assent, Sachi shoulders the broom behind her neck, jumps into the air from a low squat, and alternates her leading foot on the way back down. The movements vaguely resemble the well-known Kazakh dance, but the need to leap all the way up every time places a severe strain on your lower body. 15, 16, 17. As if to demonstrate, Sachi's movements quickly grow sluggish after her 15th repetition. What's the matter, Ranger Komine? Even a bottle blonde twin-tailed pseudo-tsundere could struggle through that much. Is that maid uniform just for show? Get moving.
レンジャー 17、18、19... ちょっといい？
Hmm? I turn around in response to a tap on my shoulder, only to find Amane standing behind me with an ominous glower on her face. Oh, if it isn't Amane, weren't you making Makina a snack or something?
いや、それはもう終わったから様子を見に来たんだけど、もしかしてこれがデートなの？
That's right. Sachi asked if she could participate in some of my typical activities.
で、軍隊式トレーニングってわけ？
Yeah. Incidentally, the constant shouting helps develop your abdominal muscles. Makes a surprisingly big difference in the results of any exercise routine, in my experience. Give it a try if you ever get anxious about your waist.
それはどうも。って私が言いたいのは、もっとデートらしいデートをしてあげてもいいんじゃないってこと。
Don't follow. Please elaborate.
だっていくら好きな人と一緒だからって軍隊の真似事みたいなことやらされて喜ぶ女の子がいると思う？
Probably not that many, now that you mention it.
だったら普通に買い物したり映画を見たりした方が絶対いいじゃん。
I get your point, but Sachi did make the request.
それでももう少し気を利かせてあげてもいいと思うけど。
In other words, in between drills, bend down and whisper loving words in her ear? Something like that?
そうじゃなくて、ユージなら読書もよくしてるんだから図書館で読書とかでもよかったんじゃない？
True enough, that sounds a bit more like a date.
ちなみに聞きたいんだけど、この後はどんな予定になってたの？
Go back to my dorm room? Well, a round trip over a one-rope bridge, followed by a rope climbing session, probably would have finished things off with a 10-mile rifle run. Amane had kept her cool until now, but my latest response is followed by some violent trembling on her part. Something wrong? Need a bathroom break? Don't let me keep you.
ユージ、ちょっと来なさい！
Suddenly exploding with anger, Amane grabs my hand and starts yanking me fiercely along. Hold on. What are you trying to...
いいからつべこべ言わずについてくる！
Yeah, I get the message, but we can't just leave Sachi training.
ごめん、さっちゃん。ユージのことを少し借りるからちょっとだけ待っててね。レンジャー、それと返事は普通に戻していいから。はい、わかりました。急にアマネが切れてるのさ。マキちゃん、何食べてるの？アマネが作った乳糖ドーナツ。たくさんあるからサッチも食べるといいのよ。
Damn, donut sounds good right about now. I mean, I know I just ate a lot of cookies, but donuts are my go-to.
ありがとう。で、豆乳ドーナツだよね、これ。で、ずいぶん落ち着いてるみたいだけど。
私が連れてかれちゃっても平気なのよ。
あまねさん、何か用事があるみたいだし仕方ないよ。
そんなこと言ってあまねえの用事がお兄ちゃんを食べちゃうことだったらどうするのよ。
食べるとしたらやっぱりもも肉とかかな。まきちゃんだったらゆうくんはどこが美味しいと思う？
やっぱさっちんはすげえな。
I have a feeling Sachi is feigning ignorance at that point. Usually she is definitely a lot more lewd. After a rough march to the rooftop, I'm forced to sit on my heels under Amani's withering gaze of scorn.
こうして正座してもらってるのはユージに反省してもらうためだからね。
I did understand that much, yes. You're basically saying that squat jumping is an inappropriate choice for a first date, right?
っていうか軍隊みたいな訓練全部いくらユージが変わり者だからってさすがに限度があるわよ。
Maybe you're right, but Sachi seemed to be enjoying it in a way, didn't she?
それはさっちゃんが涙が出るくらいいい子だからであって、ステーキが大好きだけど卵かけご飯も食べられますっていうのと同じ原理よ。
I see. Nice analogy. I get it now.
それにユージならもっと女の子が喜びそうなところだって連れて行けたでしょ。
Well, I was considering inviting her to a meal at first, I guess.
やっぱりね。それならなおさらあんなデートになる意味がわからないわよ。
Amani glowers down at me, her eyes narrowed in an expression of transparent vexation. Among other things, this whole date idea was her suggestion. She seems truly and earnestly upset that it didn't go well. You have a point. I might have been taking advantage of Sachi's tolerant nature on this one. And for someone who understands how Sachi's mind works, and why, that's fundamentally wrong. Even when it comes to something as small as this.
ここからは本当に真剣な話なんだけど、ユージはさっちゃんがこの学園にいる理由を知ったんでしょ？
As she delivers the question in a slightly lower tone of voice, Amani's eyes bore searchingly into mine. What makes you say that?
とぼけても無駄。いくらさっちゃんが幼馴染だったからって何の理由もなくユージが付き合うことにしたなんて言い出すはずないもの。
Amani declares this without so much as a moment's hesitation. There's a flat, matter-of-fact certainty in her voice. In other words, this woman is absolutely confident that she understands me. Guess there's no point in pretending then.
やっぱりそうなんだ。
Yeah, I know about the incident that brought Sachi to this school, and I know about the trauma at the root of it all. On the basis of that knowledge, I thought long and hard about what I could do for Sachi as she is today. And ultimately, I decided becoming a couple would be an essential step in that process.
言ってることはわかるけど、それは本当に必要なことだったの？
Getting halfway involved isn't going to cut it. The law Sachi's imposed on herself is too brittle and too dangerous for that. You all saw for yourself what can happen when those shackles bind her too tightly, didn't you? Amani gently closes her eyes and holds her silence for a long moment.
じゃあ最後に一つ聞かせてほしいんだけど、何かしてあげたいって思ったのはユージがさっちゃんのことを好きになったから？
And when her eyes open again, they communicate a serious warning. Don't even think about trying to dodge the question. To be completely honest, I don't really know whether I love Sachi or not. But I do know that I was drawn to her, or something she has that I don't. And I was completely serious about choosing her. I shut my eyes and honestly put my feelings into the clearest words I can. After a moment, I hear Amani sigh softly.
そっか。正直に答えてくれてありがとう。
Amani's always approached me with straightforward affection and kindness. In retrospect, I probably should have done her the courtesy of making this equally clear from the start. Alright, mind if I ask you a question of my own?
いいけど、どんなこと？
What is Sachi to you, Amane?
もちろん大切な友達に決まってるじゃない。
Once more, her response comes without a moment's hesitation. A friend, huh?
だってさっちゃんはすごくいい子だし、さっちゃんがいてくれて助かったことも楽しかったこともたくさんあるもの。だから私以外の誰に同じ質問をしても絶対同じ答えが返ってくるって私は思ってるけど。
As she says those words, there's an almost proud smile on Amane's face. Anyone who saw that expression would instantly know those words aren't merely polite flattery. Good to hear. I'm all the more convinced now. Mumbling more to myself than Amane, I finally ease off my heels, flopping down cross-legged onto the warm concrete.
それってどういうこと？
Well, to put it simply, right now, I think Sachi needs people like you more than anything else in the world.
ごめん、ユージの言ってることがよくわからないんだけど。
Well, that's all right. It's more convenient for me that way.
何よそれ。それじゃあ私が納得できないってば。
All right then. It's nothing complicated. Since you called Sachi your friend, Amane, I want to ask you for a little favor on her behalf.
頼み？
That's right. If you really care about Sachi, I want you to keep treating her exactly as you have until now.
今までと同じって、そんな普通のことでいいの？
I don't think anyone in this place, myself included, has had nearly enough of that sort of ordinary in their lives. I'm not trying to say it's as simple as that, but what Sachi needs right now is to realize what she has. My answer is purposefully a bit on the opaque side, not exactly the concrete explanation of my plans Amane was clearly looking for. But without a single complaint, she quietly searches for the meaning of those words on her own.
わかった。そうすることで私も何かを手伝えるって言うなら、ユージの言う通りにする。でもそれはユージに言われたからとかじゃなくて、さっちゃんの友達として当然のことなんだからね。
Yeah. Thank you, Amane.
ユージってそんなに素直にお礼が言えるんだ。
You say something?
なんでもない。
Alright.
それとさ、ユージは気づいてないかもしれないけど、さっちゃんと一緒にいる時のユージ、笑ってることが多くなったよ。
What?
ユージのことをずっと見てきた私が言うんだから間違いないって。
Putting a hand on her hip as she speaks, Amane flashes me a smile that's just a little too spirited to be fully convincing. Amane.
じゃあ、ユージへのお説教タイムはここらで終わりにするとして、頼み事をされた私の方からもユージに一つだけお願い事。
And what would that be?
私を振って別の女の子を選んだからには、さっちゃんのことちゃんと幸せにしてあげてよね。
With a little wink, Amane promptly turns on her heel and leaves the rooftop. Look at me, getting the full kit gloves treatment from a woman. Amane's got a lot more delicacy than you'd guess. And while I don't want to suggest her gender gives her some universal insight into the female mind, she's taught me a lot of things in her role as unofficial ambassador of young women. I smile more often when I'm with Sachi. Huh? I hadn't even been aware. But maybe the reason I chose Sachi had something to do with that as well. Either way, I've already found myself indebted to my classmates' insight and kindness. For once, it seems Chizuru's advice might have been genuinely worth listening to. On a summer morning already hot enough to inspire full-throated chirping from the cicadas, Sachi silently devotes herself to her self-imposed duties, dressed as always in her long-sleeve mate uniform.
ニュフニュフ
and I, watching over her from afar, busy myself braiding the hair of a deranged cave gremlin.
誰が妖怪よ。
Object all you want, but I've been hearing some distinctly goblin-esque grunting from your direction for a while now.
それはあんたの手が気持ちよくなかったから、つい変な声が出ちゃっただけよ。
So you're emitting bizarre noises at random intervals without conscious intent. Ever been tested for Tourette syndrome?
いやいや、私のはそういうんじゃないから大丈夫。
Well, if you say so.
そんなことより、いくら彼女に楽をさせるためでも、他の女の子に尽くしてばかりで大丈夫なの？
No worries on that front. We've got a date scheduled after this.
ああ、そうですか。今ここの気温は確実に一度は上昇したわね。
Maybe just for you, Michiru. Michiru fans herself vigorously with one hand, her face contorted into an expression I haven't seen since the time she mistook lukewarm leftover soup for barley tea and guzzled it all down. Sachi and I arranged the date in question yesterday, shortly after my little pep talk from Amane. Returning to the athletic grounds, I found Sachi still maintaining a quite respectable standby pose, nibbling from a box of soy milk donuts with Makina at her side. I apologize for my lack of consideration, fully expecting Sachi's standard "I don't mind in the least" in reply. But in a somewhat unusual turn of events, she instead asked, "In that case, what shall we do for the rest of the date?" And so, after a brief discussion, we decided to wipe the slate clean of our half-assed first date and give it a fresh start the next day. Alright, we're done. I give Michiru a light thump on the shoulder to signal the completion of her twin-tail tying request.
ありがとう。
Standing from the bench she'd been lounging on, Michiru reaches up and examines my work with her own hands.
なかなかやるわね、ユージ。房の太さ、左右のバランス、どれをとってもサチと遜色ないくらいよ。
Well, I have seen her do this once or twice, so I had an example to work off.
それだけで完全コピーできるあんたって何者？
Damn, that jingle give me some chills. Damn it, Sachi. As we're chatting, I notice Sachi's actually singing a relatively normal song as she works. Something of a first.
これを口ずさんでるってことは、今日のサチは機嫌がいいみたいね。
Really?
そう、普段はマキナが作った変な歌を歌わせられてるから、これが聴けるのは機嫌がいい時だけってわけ。
That a fact. They might be relatively loose orders, but Makina did ask Sachi to warble her ludicrous tunes. In other words, Sachi must be attached to this song to the point where it can occasionally overwrite her standard system of prioritization. She have some special affection for that song?
さあ、そこまでは知らないけど、気になるなら直接本人に聞いてみたらいいんじゃない？
Can't honestly say I'm not curious, but I suppose the important thing is knowing what it means about her mood. Prying into the exact details could be counterproductive.
それと、私が頼みたかった用事はもうなくなったから、あとはサチとイチャイチャしてくれていいわよ。
Appreciate it. To demonstrate my gratitude, I'll let you watch. Hey Sachi, have a second?
お呼びでしょうか、ご主人様。
Sachi trots right over when I call up her name, offering a greeting that inspires a truly spectacular grimace from Michiru. You're looking a little pale in the face there, Michiru, my friend. Just now realized that you forgot to eat breakfast?
朝ごはんならちゃんと食べたわよ。サチが作ってくれたハニートーストです。っていうかあんた、サチにご主人様とか呼ばせてるわけ？
No, I don't recall forcing her to do that, or giving my indication I wanted her to.
となると
はい、私なりに気を使ってみました。
そっか。なんていうかユージも大変よね。
I'll be fine. You hang in there yourself, alright? It's always darkest before the dawn.
ありがとう。慰めたつもりが慰められてる。
As Michiru writes in frustrated confusion, Sachi smiles brightly and conspicuously leans her head in my direction. The gesture is a pretty blatant request for another of those petting sessions, but unfortunately, while your intentions were good and wasn't quite worthy of a pat on the head.
そうですか。
In typical fashion, Sachi offers no complaint or objection, despite this obviously disappointing result. But, judging from the way she proactively presented herself for attention, Michiru's assessment of her mood seemed to be relatively accurate. So, how far have you gotten with the courtyard?
今日の範囲が終わったので、明日の分に突入しようとしていたところです。
In that case, I'd like to get going before this heat gets any worse. But before I can finish the thought, there's the distinctive sound of a certain engine drawing near. A sound that can only mean one thing. I see that typo.
あれ、この音って。
Guess she's here.
みたいですね。
ユージ久しぶり。
After saying goodbye to Michiru, who apparently finds encountering genuine blondes somewhat depressing, Sachi and I make our way to the front gate. JB's leaning against her flashy sports car, waving in our direction. Look, didn't I tell you to give me advance warning of your visits?
今日はたまたま仕事の用事で近くを通ったからちょっと顔を見ていこうと思っただけよ。
Looks like you're done. Bye.
相変わらずレディーに対して冷たいわね。サチは大丈夫？ユージに冷たくされたりしてない？
はい、昨日もゆうくんと2人でたくさん汗を流しました。
ユージから付き合うことになったって報告を受けてからまだ1週間も経っていないけど、もうそんなことになっているの？
No. Just to make things perfectly clear, Sachi's referring to there we go, physical exercise. That sort of hot and sweaty.
そうよね。お姉さんちょっとびっくりしちゃった。
I mean, technically in Amane's route, that time Amane was not joking around. I don't know how long after like our first sex scene, it was definitely fast. That's my girlfriend for you, just full of surprises.
なるほどね。
But anyway, since when were you two this friendly?
そうそう、ここまで来るのも結構大変だったのよ。初めてサチに会った時なんかほうきを竹槍のように構えられて「せやーっ!」って威嚇されたんだから。
あの時はハルデラさんが不審者に見えてしまったもので本当にすみませんでした。
もう謝らなくてもいいのよ。今はユージがお世話になってるんだし。
The smile on JB's face bears a striking resemblance to Amane's up-to-no-good expression. When women smirk like this, my experience suggests that events are about to take a markedly irritating turn.
それでどう？覚醒の恋愛ってくらいには青春してるの？
Are you seriously asking me that? What are you, some gossipy old lady from across the street?
あら、私はユージの保護者なんだから、そっちの状況も把握しておくのは当然じゃない。
I already gave you what you absolutely needed to know, didn't I? I see no reason to volunteer more.
じゃあいいわ。代わりにサチに聞いちゃうから。
With a great show of pouty sulkiness, JB pulls Sachi away from my side and wraps an arm around her shoulders.
ねえサチ、お姉さんにこっそり教えてほしいんだけど、もうユージとは キスしたの？
Look, you.
幼い頃に頬へのチューはしたことがあるのですが、付き合い始めてからはまだになります。
じゃあもしかしてまだ手もつないでいなかったり？
はい、他にもハグや甘噛みといった恋人らしい行為には及んでいません。
What the hell is a play biting?
甘噛みが恋人らしいかどうかは検討の余地があるとして、まだ手もつないでないってことは相当大事にされてるわね、サチは。
そうなのでしょうか。
そうよ、ユージなんて隙を見せたらすぐにガオーって襲ってくるんだから。
もしそうだとしたら少し意外です。
Stop feeding her lies, woman.
嘘じゃないでしょ。
そうなんですか、ゆうくん。
As she speaks, Sachi stares up at me with eyes clear and bright as glass beads. All I'm going to say is this. When JB starts talking like a transvestite magician, you really shouldn't take anything she says too seriously.
はい、わかりました。
サチの返事は聞いてる方が心配になってくるくらい素直な返事ね。
Well, you could say that's one of her good points.
そうだったわね。でもサチのおかげであなたたちが清い交際をしていることは分かったわ。
So you're satisfied now, right? Better get back before the brass starts squawking.
もう隙があればすぐに追い返したがるんだから。
When you have an actual reason to visit, I don't think I treat you unkindly.
それならあさってあたりに仕事が入りそうだから予定は空けておくようにね。
If that was the point of this visit, she sure took her time getting around to mentioning it. Alright, send me the details when you can.
もちろん。じゃあんまり2人の仲を邪魔しても悪いし、私はそろそろ職場に戻るわね。
With an exaggerated wink, JB slips into the driver's seat of her prancing horse.
それからサチ、
なんでしょう。
ユージは寝相が悪いから一緒のベッドで寝るときは気をつけた方がいいわよ。
はい、わかりました。
それじゃあ2人ともまたね。
Damn, that engine is so loud. Are you gone, JB? Jeez. After teasing us one final time, JB rolls up her window and speeds off in a shrill burst of sound pollution. Okay, just to be clear, I don't toss or turn in my sleep.
確かにゆうくんは立ったまま寝ていそうなイメージでした。
That's a bit over the top. But anyway, do you finally understand not to take that woman at her word?
でもゆうくんのことを心配して顔を出してくれたんですから、誠実な人なのではないでしょうか。
Maybe. If she could resist the impulse to screw around like that.
なるほどです。
More importantly, about the date.
今日はゆうくんがデートのプランを考えてくれるんですよね。
Yeah. Thought we'd go walk around some stores.
買い物ですか？
Right. Window shopping, as they call it.
つまりゆうくんは窓が欲しかったんですね。
Pretty decent. Try that one on a veteran Marine who's gotten thoroughly sick of constantly floating around in iron tubs, and you'd probably get a drunken roar of laughter.
冗談を言ったつもりはないのですが。
Right. I keep forgetting she's a natural at this. Anyway, I did take my best stab at thinking up an appropriate first date here. Is the shopping plan alright by you?
はい、ゆうくんとのお買い物デート、とても楽しみです。
Good. In that case, let's make our preparations, then meet up here in 10.
はい、わかりました。
Not even glancing at the store windows to her left and right, Sachi shuffles silently forward, completely lost in her own little world. We came straight to the shopping area around the station as planned, but Sachi's mood appears to have taken a dramatic turn of some sort in the course of the last 15 minutes. As a little experiment, I try stopping quietly in my tracks. Completely oblivious, Sachi continues to walk briskly down the sidewalk. Hey Sachi!
すみません、私今ぼーっとしていました。
Don't see that every day. Something on your mind?
そのゆうくんとハルデラさんのことを考えていました。
Me and JB?
はい。
Not to repeat myself, but if there's something on your mind, you can go ahead and say it.
それが私も何をゆうくんに聞きたいのかがよくわかりません。
The hell? Sachi's explanation is so amazingly unhelpful that I reflexively respond a little curtly. Sorry, can you try to go into a little more detail?
学園を出たあたりから仲良くしているゆうくんとハルデラさんの映像が私の頭の中に浮かんできたのですが、そのことを考えているとマキちゃんに「サッチンはインランメイドなのよさ」と言われた時のような気持ちになって。
I see. Based on what I can infer from that explanation, it's simple jealousy. And although that feeling's obviously the result of JB's malicious little pranks, Sachi probably isn't capable of recognizing either the cause or effect for what they are. Alright, I've got some advice for you on this one, Sachi.
どんなことでしょうか。
File those feelings away and make sure you don't forget them. But for the moment, try not to let them bother you too much.
ゆうくんはとても難しいことを言うんですね。
It's pretty simple actually. Just empty your head for now.
もしそうだとしたらどうして今は忘れた方がいいんでしょう。
Because you'll be able to enjoy the date that way.
なるほど。単純明快な上になぜかものすごい説得力です。
Feeling any better?
はい。ゆうくんのおかげで喉に刺さっていた担当が取れた思いです。
That a fact. The girl can lay the hyperboles on a little thick at time, but it sounds like this really was a load on her mind. In any case, it's encouraging to see Sachi starting to puzzle over things she doesn't understand.
では最初にゆうくんが欲しいものを見て回りましょう。
Something I want.
はい、私の方は特に購入を考えているものはありませんから。
The only thing that really comes to mind on the spur of the moment is books. But even there, I'm doing alright with Sakaki's leftovers for the time being. Everything necessary for my job at Ichigaya is provisioned to me from the company's stock of government-supplied goods. I can't think of anything I urgently need to get my hands on at the moment. Well, if I really stretch things a bit, there's a new scope they're making overseas that I've been wanting to try out, I guess.
それは困りました。海外への渡航にはパスポートが必要になるので申請に時間がかかってしまいます。
In other words, if the prep time wasn't an issue, this girl wouldn't hesitate to launch an international expedition as part of a casual shopping trip. As I try to come up with something else I'm interested in buying, I casually glance over at Sachi, walking quietly at my side in full maid uniform. No matter how accustomed she is to that thing, it's downright mind-boggling that she can wear a heavy, multi-layered outfit in this heat without shedding even a drop of sweat.
ゆうくん、もしかして今俺が欲しいのは小峰幸の体だうえへへと目で合図を送りましたか？
No? No, you did not.
そうですか。
That is so. That said, she's not entirely off base since my idea does concern her body. Alright, how about I buy you some clothes to complement that body of yours?
私の服ですか？
Yeah, I had this thought earlier, but wearing a long-sleeve maid uniform in the dog days of summer isn't really in the spirit of things.
それなら夏場用のトロピカルが。
Right, sure. I'm willing to bet it's still got long sleeves.
はい、長い野戦の間マラリア原虫を媒介しようとする蚊から身を守るために必要不可欠な機能になりますので。
They do say a good 2/3 of the troops battling over New Guinea ended up afflicted with malaria, but at present, I'm fairly sure the Anopheles minimus mosquitoes capable of spreading the disease can't be found anywhere in Japan, other than a small region of Okinawa.
他にも亜熱帯地方では。
Okay, whatever. For now, let's just take a look in that store over there. Come on.
はい。こんなに買ってもらっていいのでしょうか。
As we leave the store, Sachi poses an anxious question, glancing down at the shopping bags dangling from both her hands. All well and good that I decided to buy her clothes, but even my avaricious reading habits never extended to female-oriented fashion magazines. I was largely clueless on this one. For a lack of a better plan, I ended up indiscriminately buying everything recommended by a saleswoman who spoke something just barely qualifying as Japanese. According to JB, women can never have too many clothes.
それはみちる様もよくおっしゃっていますが、私は全くお金を払っていないので、これをいただくのはとても悪い気がします。
No need to worry about that. Fortunately, I've got a part-time job, so buying a few presents for my girlfriend isn't anything out of the ordinary.
それはそうなのですが。
Personally speaking, I consider buying you clothes money well spent. If you're saying you don't want them, feel free to use them as rags when you're cleaning. I won't hold it against you.
それは絶対にありません。雑巾にするくらいなら腹巻きにしてでも身につけます。
Then I guess there's no problem. In that case, why don't you wear those clothes every once in a while? To the degree that it doesn't interfere with the pre-existing request about your mate uniform.
それもなかなか難しい注文です。
No, it's pretty simple. Why don't you just wear them when you feel like wearing them?
私が着たいと思った時に着ればいい。
Repeating my words like a parrot, Sachi closes her eyes in thought. In relation to my final objective, giving her these presents is something of a test. But it's also genuinely true that I want to see Sachi in normal clothes for once. Alright. Next, I guess we can just wander around for a while. I take a step forward, but Sachi doesn't budge.
ゆうくん。
Hmm?
ありがとう。ありがとう、ゆうくん。
When Sachi speaks those plain words, a memory flashes before my eyes. Thank you. Apart from my family, Sachi was the one and only person in my claustrophobic little world who said those words to me on a regular basis. For Sachi, it might well have been nothing but a simple expression of gratitude for the praise I lavished on her. But for me, every thank you offered me heartwarming relief from the feelings of inferiority and worthlessness that otherwise defined that period of my life. Maybe it was just a childish misconception on my part, a groundless, self-centered delusion. But it felt as though she was telling me, "You're alright as you are. It's alright for you to be here." Yeah. And watching Sachi answer my curt grunt of acknowledgement with a happy smile, I realized that whatever else has changed over the years, that feeling's still the same. That warmth still rises to the surface. Even in that alone, I think Sachi's a special presence in my life. Alright, Sachi, let's get going.
はい。
Glad we managed to find something that caught your interest as well.
はい。みちる様にぴったりなサメさんのリボンも見つかって大満足です。
We wandered aimlessly through a few other stores until we stumbled across the item in question. Her prize in hand, Sachi smiles triumphantly up at me as we leave the shop. So, what? Is that thing made from shark skin?
いえ、素材の方ではなく、こ こうして輪を作った時にサメさんが大口を開けているように見えるデザインらしいのですが、ハート型に似た歯の形状からモチーフになっているサメさんがホウジロザメではなくイタチザメであることが判別できるあたり、匠のこだわりを感じさせます。
That's so. If Michiru is really looking to complement that sparkly pouch of hers with this sort of realistic nature design, she's got a fairly inconsistent fashion sense. Well, now that we've both bought something, I guess it's about time we headed back to the dorm.
そうですね。
But when I change the subject, Sachi's response is somewhat distracted. She's turned her head slightly to one side. I follow her gaze to a bus stop bench, where a man's lying down with his head in his girlfriend's lap.
なあ、これってやっぱ恥ずかしくねえか？
そこがいいじゃん。
There's a good bit of distance between us, so I can't hear their conversation that well. But the atmosphere over there seems pretty nice. From all appearances, they're a couple in the height of the honeymoon phase. When I look back, Sachi's still boring holes into the pair with her eyes. After JB's suggestive pestering this morning, she might well have developed some curiosity about this sort of physically romantic action. Something on your mind?
いえ、少しバス停の方を眺めていただけですから。
If you say so. Judging from that oddly vague answer, it seems she doesn't want me to know she was looking at the couple in particular. Okay, let's head back.
はい、そうしましょう。
By the time we reached the campus, Sachi's got her head completely in the clouds again. This would be the second time in the last few hours. Considering she's normally alert enough to come running when someone calls her name, this is definitely an unusual state of affairs.
膝枕、抱き枕に氷枕。
Ah, so that's it. Although it's actually a little worrisome that she's this transparent. This time she's clearly just gotten herself caught up on the lap pillow concept. Hey Sachi,
はい、なんでしょう。
want me to guess what you're thinking about right now?
それは何かの勝負のお誘いでしょうか。
No, nothing like that. I'm just pretty sure I know what's on your mind at the moment. Wanna see if I'm on the money?
それが本当だとしたらすごいです。ぜひ当ててみてください。
Alright, I'll get straight to the answer. Sachi, you're currently thinking about trying out the classic lap pillow maneuver, yes?
むにょ。
Judging from that goofy little yelp, she genuinely wasn't expecting this answer. Can I take that to mean I'm correct?
はい。何のヒントも出していない状態での大正解に心臓のバクバクが止まりません。
No hints, huh?
以前にもゆうくんはエスパーなのではないかと疑ったことがありますが、今回は特にすごいです。
Actually, in this case, I'm pretty sure anyone with a functioning set of ears could have produced the same supernatural insight.
つまりゆうくんの手にかかれば私は常に丸裸ということになってしまいます。
Considering how sordid you make this sound, you seem remarkably calm.
そんなことはありません。こう見えて心はドキドキです。
Okay then, why don't we step that love dubbing up a notch?
ドキドキドキですか？
Can't say exactly how many extra dubs we'll get. But since you're interested, I'm officially proposing we give this lap pillow thing a try. Conveniently enough, there's a setting ideal for the purpose close at hand. I point to one of the benches that dot the courtyard, sitting in the shade of a tall tree.
確かにベンチはありますが。
All these bags ended up being slightly heavier than expected, so it'd be nice to rest my arms a little as well. Of course, my arms aren't even slightly sore, and the dorm's right in front of us, but no need to mention that.
そ そうですね。あまり無理をさせるのは良くないですし、休憩ということでしたら。
Alright, sounds like the matter's decided. I pull Sachi over to the bench, then settle down in a classic lap pillow pose as previously demonstrated by the couple in town.
本当に膝枕もするのでしょうか。
Yeah, ignorant as I may be about these matters, I do know the basic theory behind a lap pillow. Leave the rest to me. Alright, success! Sachi's face stares up from my lap, frozen with all the meek anxiety of a terrified kitten. Well, what are your impressions now that you're experiencing the real deal?
ゆうくんの膝は硬すぎず、それでいて柔らかすぎず、まさに絶妙の枕加減なのですが、ごく一般的な膝枕というのは、女性の方が男性の頭を膝の上に乗せるものなのではないでしょうか。
Now that you mention it, the man was the one lying down at the bus stop, wasn't he?
なので、この膝枕はどちらかというと、少し特殊な部類に入ると思われます。
I didn't even consider which of us should be the pillow and which the pillowed. Well, if you want to take the opposite role, we can switch.
そうですね。せっかくのお言葉なのですが、それはやめておきます。
You sure about that?
よく考えたら、ゆうくんが枕役をやるというのもこれっきりかもしれないですから。
I see. Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way.
はい。
The moment Sachi offers that brief response, a gentle gust of wind rolls through the shaded courtyard. A lingering breeze, not so strong as to be irritating, but enough to bring a pleasant cool.
風が気持ちいいですね。
That it does.
セミさんも泣き始めました。
Yeah.
ゆうくんの顔がすぐそばにあります。
If it was behind your eyes, we'd have a problem.
そうですね。
She puts her feelings into words as they come to her. I offer brief, meaningless responses. At some point in this trivial little exchange, a smile spreads across Sachi's face, and I begin to feel the sort of simple tranquility that comes with cradling a purring cat in your lap. Hey Sachi, you enjoyed the date today?
はい、とても楽しかったです。
No hesitation.
もちろん即答です。だって実際に楽しかったですから。
Even though we just wandered around by the station?
はい、ゆうくんと一緒にたくさんお店を回れた上に、可愛い服まで買っていただきました。
Well, I'm glad you had fun, but you really are easy to please, aren't you?
実際のところはそうでもないかもしれませんよ。
Oh? Elaborate.
だって今はこうして彼氏さんに枕役をやらせているんですから。
So you are. True enough, if someone saw this little scene out of context, they'd probably get the impression that Sachi's wearing the pants in this relationship. Well, since you've had that rare opportunity handed to you, how about you relax and savor it for a while?
はい、ありがとうございます。
As she speaks, Sachi lets the tension drain out of her body, and I feel a little more weight settle in my lap. It feels almost like the physical manifestation of her absolute trust. I've shouldered many burdens on the job, but none were quite this relaxing to bear. If you feel like it, you can go ahead and take a nap.
それはとても魅力的な提案なのですが、ドキドキして眠れそうにありません。
I kinda like how they localize Doki Doki. Love dubbing. Ridiculous. In that case, just close your eyes and take it easy. Apparently, that alone's about 80% as effective as actual sleep.
そんなことまで知ってるなんて、ゆうくんは本当にすごいです。
Look, I'm sure I've told you this before, The people who really deserve praise are the scientists who ran the studies, not the guy who read about them in some book.
それでもその内容を覚えていたのはゆうくんです。
You really aren't going to budge on this, are you?
はい、どうしてもそうなります。
And she seems to be very pleased about it for some reason. This habit of overestimating me to the point of veneration is one part of Sachi that doesn't seem to be changing. Walking down the streets, chatting with your romantic interest, going shopping together, brushing against their warmth, and ultimately, offering them your lap as a pillow, putting aside for the moment whether it's supposed to be the other way around. I remember seeing this sort of innocent flirting between couples in manga and television shows as a kid. But I hadn't imagined a day might come when I'd actually be experiencing something of the sort. And in fact, I almost certainly never would have if it wasn't for Sachi. I was able to experience this tranquil feeling of her because of her. Because I met her as a kid. Because we were reunited here. Because she agreed to date me. This unlikely moment came to pass. Thanks, Sachi. When the words spill naturally from my mouth, I'm answered by nothing but the sound of a carefree young woman sawing logs. Thought you weren't sleepy, punk. That didn't take long considering. But then again, seeing Sachi like this, the way her lively excitement gave way to this abrupt nap, it's a keen, almost painful reminder of the tomboyish, unpredictable girl she used to be.
そこにいるの風見くんよね。
When I raise my head in response to this tentative inquiry, I see Sakaki standing in the shade nearby, a paperback book in hand. Hey there, Sakaki. Back from sharing your complaints regarding our profane world to a local crow?
人を魔女のように言わないでもらえるかしら。
Sorry, just a little joke.
機嫌がいいのは結構だけれど、そこで寝ているのは小峰さんよね。
Yeah. Momentum from the shopping date ended up carrying us in a slightly weird direction. Decided to try out the lap pillow thing.
それは見ればわかるけど、これはとても珍しい光景ね。
As soon as the words are out of Sakaki's mouth, she's leaning quietly forward, peering down at us with an expression of evident curiosity. Guess the man being the pillow is pretty unusual after all, huh?
ああ、いや、そういう意味ではなくて、私は小峰さんが眠っているってことに驚いているのよ。
What's that supposed to mean?
私はこれまでに小峰さんが居眠りをしているところを見たことがなかったから。
Another unbroken streak of hers, is it?
ええ。と言っても、もちろん夜になれば自室のベッドで休んでいるのは知っているけれど、こうしてうたた寝をしている小峰さんを見るのは初めてね。
That a fact?
ええ。だから意外だったのよ。
Makes sense. Yet another sign of how strictly Sachi governs her own behavior.
それにしても気持ちよさそうな寝顔をしているわね。
Well, we did spend a good while wandering around the stores this afternoon. She was probably a little tired.
それくらいでは小峰さんは居眠りしないと思うわよ。
Then what did?
よほどあなたの膝の上が気持ちよかったんでしょうね。
Sakaki smiles gently at her own joke. Fairly uncommon. Both the smile and the fact she made a joke in the first place. Oh, you interested? How about giving it a try yourself? When I offer a little light teasing as payback, Sakaki's face instantly goes red. Of course, you'll have to get Sachi's permission first, but...
それは絶対にダメです。
At the sudden angry shout from my lap, Sakaki scrambles a few feet backward, completely flustered.
もしかして起きていたの？
She's probably half awake, yeah. I wonder.
マグロマンはビームを使わずにその身を削るところがかっこいいんですから。
What are you dreaming about, Sachi? No, she's pretty clearly not.
なら今のは寝言？
Yeah, seems that way.
そうやっぱり小峰さんには底知れない恐ろしさがあるわね。
You're reading way too much into this.
スオさんや松島さんも出かけているみたいだし、邪魔者はこれで消えるわね。
With those parting words, delivered in an uncharacteristically tranquil tone, Sakaki turns away and quietly makes her way back to the dorm. I'm permitted to while away my time as a human pillow for the moment. But 2 days from now, another Ichigai job is waiting for me. That was the way of life I chose, and I don't plan on trying to back out this late in the game. But surely, no one could hold it against me if I enjoy this feeling a little longer. At least until she wakes up. Walls have ears, shoji have eyes. I think shojis are like those wooden doors in Japanese, traditional houses. Is a long-standing proverb in this country. And in modern times, when minuscule spy cameras can be mounted on mosquitoes, it's truer than ever. True enough, I hear there's lots of spy cameras, especially in South Korea, because porn is illegal there. So people actually put a lot of illegal porn on the internet to make a quick buck. Since such electronic bugs are significantly more credible and accurate than an ear against the door, you could say the advances of science have only worsened the ancient problem of information security. And it seems even this isolated community known as Mahama Academy is no exception to the general trend. Let down your guard for even a moment, and you'll suffer the consequences.
さっちゃんと付き合うって聞いただけでも驚いたのに、まさか膝枕とはね。
膝枕って言うと、最近買ったマグロマンの DVD についてきたあれのこと？
それは抱き枕。しかもあんたの言ってるのはカバーの方だから。
Amane heaves a small sigh, barely audible over the churning of the washing machine at her side. As it so happened, our little courtyard interlude yesterday was recorded by a camera Makina had set up in the courtyard as part of a surveillance mission targeting Michiru, rendering Sakaki's considerate discretion sadly meaningless. By this morning, the lap pillow incident was common knowledge throughout the dorm and beyond. Anyway, Sakaki, you decided on your request yet?
改まって聞かれるとすぐには。
Since I've now spent a day in servitude to both Amane and Michiru, the pair of them magnanimously decided that today would be Sakaki's turn. But if a genie popped up and told the girl, "You have 30 seconds to ask me for anything you desire," I'm pretty sure she'd dither the time away and end up empty-handed. I'm still on standby at the moment. I see that typo.
ユージが何でも言うことを聞くって言った時はマッサージとか言ってなかったっけ？
あの時はちょうど肩が凝っていたからそんなことも言ったけれど、今はそれほどでもないから。
Sure.
おかしいな。私の調べでは昨日も夜の2時までパソコンを触ってたはずなのに。
How would you know that, Amane?
あなたはどうしてそんなことまで知っているのよ。
さあ、どうしてでしょうね。
Has someone been using Sachi for late-night spying operations again?
この際しのごの言わずに、風見くん、私のオナニーを手伝ってもらえないかしらって言っちゃえばいいのよさ。
You're crazy, Makina. Crazy, damn you, girl. Crazy!
ダメ。榊さんこう見えて結構順調だし。
Well, I don't mind waiting for directions, but if you aren't going to ask for something, it seems a little pointless for me to be here. If you really can't think of anything, I'll get back to my own business.
それは。
ほらほら、ユージもこう言ってることだし、何でもいいから言っちゃいなさいよ。
さ
わかったわよ。それなら洗濯でいいわ。
You really want me to do your laundry? What about your underwear and all that? That all?
ええ、ちょうどランドリーにいるし、洗濯物は私が持ってくるから。
Alright. These washing machines make it easy as the press of a button, so there's no problem on my end.
それならよかったわ。
Arriving on the scene with an overflowing laundry basket in her hands, Michiru peeks over her mountain of dirty clothes with an expression of clear surprise.
なんでこんなところにみんなが揃ってるのよ。はっ、まさかあんたたち、私の誕生日を内緒で祝う計画を立ててたんじゃないでしょうね。
When is your birthday, Michiru? I don't know. Sachi's birthday is next month, 23rd.
そんなことされたって、私は全然嬉しくなんかないんだからね。あれ、私何か変なこと言った？
そうですね。変なことというよりは全くの見当外れと言いますか。
Well, that's life. Hang in there, kid.
また励まされた。
Deflating like a punctured inner tube, Michiru trudges silently on toward the washing machines.
でもいいの？榊さん。
何の話？
ユージに洗濯を任せちゃって。
本人も洗濯ならできると言っていたわよ。
そうじゃなくて、ユージ男の子だよ。
間違いなく女の子には見えないけれど、それがどうかした？
下着とか見られたり触られたりしちゃうと思うんだけど。
風見くん、やっぱりさっきの用事はなかったことにして。
Okay, you're the client, so that's fine by me.
代わりの用事はちゃんと考えておくから。
As soon as the words are out of her mouth, Sakaki hurries out of the laundry room and descends the stairs at a trot. Seems strangely flustered. Don't tell me she's still hanging on to a pair of lucky teddy bear panties.
そこまでは知らないけど、どんな下着でも意図せず見られて嬉しいものじゃないわよね、普通は。
Come to think of it, there was a time when I thoughtfully washed a pile of JB's dirty laundry without being asked. And although the woman usually walks around with her underwear half exposed, her reaction was an angry snarl to the effect of, "I'll do it myself." Seems pretty consistent with Imani's theory.
で、そろそろ本題に戻りたいんだけど、
What
昨日
real
のデ
topic?
ートで
Oh,
さっちゃんとはどこまで行ったわけ？
not far. Just down to the station. Why?
こういうのはユージよりさっちゃんに聞いた方が早そうね。
Heard the same thing from JB yesterday. It seems I'm not particularly well equipped for this sort of conversation.
というわけで、どうなの？さっちゃん。
どこまでというのは恋愛の進行状況を聞かれていると思うのですが、恋人らしい行為というのは膝枕くらいだったと思います。
本当に？合間にキスとかしてないの？
はい、していません。
じゃあ当然エッチもまだってわけよね。
That's because she's not a slut like you, Imani. Damn you and your route. I still really hate those amount of sex scenes on your route, Imani. Look, woman.
エッチといえば金属加工の際に用いられたりする技術、エッチングのことでしょうか。
No, Sachi. No. No!
いや、私はそっちの方を知らなかったけど、こう男女の営み的な？
男女の営みというと性交、いわゆるセックスのことですね。
さっちん容赦ね。 アマ兄が珍しく投げてくれた変化球を剛速球で返してきたのよさ。
でもあまねさんが言っているのはセックスのことですよね。
まあそうなんだけどさ。
じゃああまねさんは私とゆうくんがセックスしたかを聞きたかったんですね。
いや、なんていうか。
それともここはあえて交尾と言い換えた方がいいでしょうか。
ごめん、私が悪かった。
Not bad, Sachi. Making Amane of all people bashful is a considerable achievement.
でもさっちゃん、今のうちに覚悟だけはしておいた方がいいわよ。
覚悟ですか？
そう、膝枕なんかしちゃったら次はすぐエッチすることになっちゃうんだから。
つまり私はもうすぐ処女膜を破られる、そういうことですね。
もうだからなんでわざわざ言い換えるのよ、この子は。ハマ兄が切れたのよさ。
Don't think I've ever seen her push this far before.
まあさっちゃんって我慢強そうだし、そういうのは案外平気そうだけど。
はい、墓の痛みに耐えるシミュレーションなら何度か。
Do I need to know that?
ああ、そうなんだ。まあ私は一応アドバイスしたからね。
はい、ありがとうございます、あまねさん。
It's definitely not a bad thing that our classmates care enough to express their concern, but given Sachi's tendency to interpret advice in oddly distorted ways, I'm a little worried Amane's well-intentioned words may create more problems than they solve. Looks about right. Confirming that cool air is once again flowing from the vent, I climb carefully down off the stepladder. After anguishing at great length about her request, Sakaki ended up mumbling, "Come to think of it, the air conditioning in the hallway hasn't been working too well lately," and setting me off on a chore largely irrelevant to her own interests. And so, after borrowing some basic tools from a closet, I performed some simple maintenance on the overhead AC unit, cleaning out the ducts and replacing the machine's filter. Even as she holds the ladder steady, Sachi's gazing up at me with something like wonder in her eyes. Okay, what's on your mind this time?
いえ、ゆうくんは庭園管理士の資格だけでなく電気工事士の資格まで持っていたんですね。
Not qualified or certified in either of those fields, actually.
でもエアコンはちゃんと動いています。
Yeah, when AC units break down, 9 times out of 10 it's because dust and grime has accumulated inside the machine over the years. Even without any specialized technical knowledge, it's possible to perform some basic repairs. And in the first place, the title of electrician means you're licensed to wire buildings and such. That's a completely different can of worms.
だとしたらゆうくんはすごいです。もし私が頼まれていたら業者さんに修理を依頼するしかありませんでしたから。
Well, I personally went this route because I know a little about air conditioners. But if you're looking for the most reliable method of ensuring the request gets fulfilled, your judgment is probably the better one.
そうでしょうか。
Yeah. The hands-on approach is only feasible when you happen to know how to solve a specific problem after all.
それなら私ももっと勉強した方がいいかもしれませんね。
Maybe so. I'm not telling you to glue yourself to your desk even more than you already do, but it can't hurt to expand your breadth of knowledge.
なるほどです。ところでゆうくん、
Yeah?
ゆうくんは私とセックスしたくなったりしないんでしょうか。
That didn't take long. Look, Sachi, this is just like the thing with JB yesterday. Why are you so worried about what other people say about us?
ですが某所の調べでは私たちくらいの年代の実に 43% が すでに性交渉を済ませているというデータも出ています。
I'm guessing these statistics came from another magazine you found in a convenience store rack.
なぜか見破られてしまいました。
Just a little statistical analysis of my own. My data indicates 99% of your data is that sort of crap.
もちろんゆうくんの頭の中でいくら私が凌辱されても構わないのですが、普通の恋人同士がすることなら私たちもしてみた方がいいのではないかと思いまして。
Does that mean you want to try having sex, Sachi?
いえ、あくまでもゆうくんがしたいとおっしゃられるのであればです。
So even when it comes to something this serious, she relinquishes any role in the actual decision. Let me ask you something first. Would you really be alright having me as your first partner?
むしろ相手がゆうくんなら嬉しいくらいです。
You serious about that?
はい、小峰幸、いつでも本気です。
Is that supposed to be your brand slogan?
すみません、出過ぎたことを言ってしまったでしょうか。
No, wouldn't say that, but there's no doubt in my mind that Sachi's proposing this because of her belief that a good girl hews closely to the conventional way of doing things. In other words, her own will played virtually no role in this proposal. Of course, I'm not suggesting that adapting to the societal mainstream is a bad thing, and I'm sure as hell not planning to play some sort of holy martyr who abstains from physical relationships. But right now, Sachi's still missing an important part of herself. For that reason, I've started this relationship off on a distinctly platonic note. Now that Sachi herself is approaching me, the question is whether or not I should allow things to move beyond that stage. Ordinarily, the answer would be a flat no. But precisely because Sachi's wrapped herself inside this shell, I need to introduce changes into her life. This offer represents a clear opportunity on that front. But that said, mind if I double check this one last time?
はい、どうぞ。
You don't find the idea of having sex with me unpleasant, Sachi?
はい、嫌だとも思いませんし、相手がゆうくんなら安心できます。
I see. There's no guarantee the feelings Sachi expresses to me are real. If Sachi's convinced herself that a good girlfriend loves her boyfriend, she might very well override her own emotions to bring herself into alignment with that image. True, I'll never get anywhere if I get too caught up in this kind of doubt, but this is a serious enough step to warrant some caution. At the very least, I think Sachi's sincere in saying she doesn't find the idea outright unpleasant. In other words, we've met the absolute minimum condition for me to put my hands on her. Alright, since you're obviously up for it, Sachi, let's move this relationship to the next step.
はい、よろしくお願いします。お待たせしました。
About 20 minutes after we headed to my room, Sachi emerges from the bathroom, her shower finally complete. Her mere presence fills the room with the fresh smell of soap, prompting a small kick of sexual desire. Normally, I've been trying to keep thoughts like these out of my mind, but right now, Sachi's in my room for the explicit purpose of taking the next step in our relationship. It's kind of a strange feeling, to be honest.
ゆうくんに言われた通り、体をきれいにしてきました。
Took your time in there, but are you sure you did a thorough job? Might end up having some places you've never gotten a good look at yourself inspected after all.
はい、髪の毛から足の指先までバッチリきれいにしてきました。
But you're still wearing the mate uniform, I see.
はい、男の人はエッチの際に服を脱がせる行為にも興奮すると聞いたことがあるので、気を利かせてみました。
Ah. They do say girls tend to collect lots of dubious secondhand knowledge about this sort of thing. Guess it'd probably be best not to bother asking about her source for this information.
それで、この後はどうしたらいいでしょうか。
Her face betraying a hint of nervousness, Sachi looks up into my eyes. I'd like to believe that slight pink flush in her cheeks isn't just a lingering effect of her shower. Let's see. According to standard theory, we'd begin with whispering loving words and embracing each other. But today, we're going to omit that step.
それは昨今の不景気が原因なのでしょうか。
No, it's just that fast, cheap, and satisfying is my personal motto when it comes to sex.
なるほど。ゆうくんは牛丼屋さんのようなキャッチコピーを売りにしているんですね。
Naturally, this motto is a load of crap, but I want to put the kisses and affectionate words on hold until Sachi manages to regain a normal emotional state. Might think it a little hypocritical for me to be so consensuous on that point, when we're about to do something more extreme. But I have my own way of thinking about the things that bind people together, and the way I see it, some things matter more than physical intimacy.
ですが、
I agree though.
安いというのはどういう？
Alright, first of all, let's get you to a more appropriate location.
まさか初めてのエッチは外で？
No, I was talking about the bed.
なるほどです。
With that, Sachi promptly walks over and settles down on top of my bed.
とりあえず座ってみました。
Right. Now get yourself into a comfortable position and pull up your skirt. I actually don't remember whether this is, a sex scene or not, but... I'll see you guys in YouTube in a bit. This might be our first sex scene of the route. Alright, we are back for you guys on YouTube. It was actually a very, very heartwarming event. With Yuji not even having sex in the end. It was just a foreplay segment with Sachi. Very heartwarming, like I said. I actually forgot that Yuji never had sex on the first sex scene here. Really interesting. I'm gazing at the scenery outside my window when Sachi walks up to my side, evidently finished with her second shower of the day. But yeah, that was a very heartwarming one. Not as heartwarming as Makina's, but I feel like this was a lot more tender and just about Yuji loving the girl instead of, what happened in Makina's case where it was also a lot of feels. This one, it was kind of more about love and actual love.
今日は本当にすみませんでした。私に経験がないばかりに気を使わせてしまって。
You've got nothing to apologize for. Getting impatient and rushing ahead rarely ends well, especially with this sort of thing. That doesn't seem quite enough to convince Sachi this time. She looks up at me, her big round eyes tinged with uncertainty. Don't worry, you did just fine today. All you need to do now is take it easy for a while.
はい、わかりました。
I give Sachi a quick pat on the head and offer a few reassuring words. Without any further objections, she nods and leaves my room. Girls got sharp instincts. Not easy to lie to her. As Sachi seems to have vaguely sensed, my real reason for stopping halfway through was entirely different. Truth is, something inside me drew back at the idea of going all the way. Something about the idea of taking her virginity just felt wrong. It's still not entirely clear to me why my conscience suddenly kicked into overdrive, but when I touch her body directly, something about my way of thinking changed. I'll have to wrap it up with that for now. I guess that hesitation may have ended up giving her something else to be anxious about. Not really what I was trying to accomplish here. But today, some part of me thought, this girl deserved to be treasured, and I don't think I was wrong. I also don't think you're wrong, Yuji.
それじゃあしばらくユージを借りていくわね。
JB's arrived in typically flashy fashion to pick me up for the previously scheduled job. Judging from the way she's currently draping her arms around my neck, I'm going to guess the personal escort is mainly an excuse to tease Sachi.
はい、よろしくお願いします。
その間サッチには寂しい思いをさせちゃうかもしれないけど我慢してね。
私のことは心配いりませんので、ゆうくんのことをお願いしますね。
あら、自分のことをからかってくる相手にそんなことが言えるなんて、サチもなかなかやるわね。
ありがとうございます。
More importantly, anything you want to ask before I head out?
行ってきますのチューはしないんですか？
Shut up for a minute, woman. I shake free of JB's clingy embrace and cut the flow of crap short with a hand over her mouth.
では今日のお仕事が終わるのは何時くらいの予定になるのでしょうか？
そうね。
When I silently look in JB's direction, she brings a hand to her chin and thinks the matter over for a moment.
状況に応じて変わってくると思うけど、多分夜遅くになっちゃうのは間違いないわね。
So she says,
ということは寮には戻ってくるということですよね。
Yeah, no plans to stay overnight. I'll definitely be coming back.
それは約束でしょうか？
As she speaks, Sachi looks up at me with a gravely serious expression. Yeah, I suppose it is.
わかりました。それなら私はここでゆうくんのお帰りをお待ちしています。
Just to be perfectly clear, that doesn't mean I want you to stand on this exact spot the entire time, alright?
ゆうくんは失礼です。いくら私でもそこまでバカじゃありません。
Sorry, but you've kinda got a track record.
大丈夫です。普段通りの予定をこなしながらお帰りをお待ちしています。
Good. In that case, not a problem.
それじゃあお見送りありがとう、サチ。
はい、JB さんもお気をつけて。
As Sachi bows politely, JB and I lower ourselves into the car and draw the doors shut.
もしかしたらあの子、ユージの仕事が普通じゃないって感づいているんじゃない？
Even if she does, I don't think she is likely to bring them up.
でしょうね。それに本当にいい子だわ。まるで主人の帰りを待つ軍用犬みたい。
A military dog? Well, she's definitely a creature of habit. A slightly obsessive German shepherd, maybe.
でもいいの？必ず帰るだなんて約束して。いつもは嘘でもそんなこと言わないのに。
I know. Wasn't planning to say anything of the sort. But she starts staring into my eyes and I just couldn't help myself.
変わったわね。
What, me?
どっちもよ。
If you say so. Look, how about you put making fun of us on hold for the moment and pay a little more attention to the damn road?
はーい。
I'd been a little worried Sachi might get caught up in the way things ended yesterday, but she didn't seem any different this morning. Maybe that pat on the head actually did the trick.
現場に着いたら起こしてあげるから、ユージも少し眠っておきなさい。
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Obediently retrieving a sleep mask out of the dashboard, I slip it over my eyes and lean back in the soft leather seat. Within moments, I'm falling into a light sleep.
小峰さんがため息なんて珍しいわね。
榊さん、
それにどこかぼーっとしていたみたいだけど。
やはりそう見えてしまいましたか？
ええ、なんとなくだけれど。違った？
いえ、榊さんの言う通りです。少し考え事をしていましたから。
もし何か悩みがあるなら私でよければ相談に乗るわよ。
榊さん、いくらカップ焼きそばが好きでも床にこぼしたものまで口にするのは体によくありませんよ。
それは 私がらしくない行動をとっていると言いたいのかしら。
違いましたか？
確かにその通りだけれど、相談相手が周防さんや松島さんでは偏ったアドバイスになってしまうような気がして。
はい、榊さんの言いたいことはなんとなくわかる気がします。
だからよ。
ではこの小峰幸、折り入って榊さんに相談させていただきたいことがあります。
ということは、やっぱり風見くんと何かあったのね。
あったと言いますか、あるべきものがなかったと言いますか。
どうやら複雑な話みたいね。それならひとまず場所を移しましょう。ここではいつ他の人間が通るかわからないから。
はい、わかりました。
ここなら気兼ねなく話ができそうね。
それはその通りだと思うのですが、なぜ教室なのでしょうか？
イリスさんがいる限り寮内で安全なところはないわ。
なるほど、とても説得力のあるお言葉です。
で、一体何があったのかしら。
はい、実は昨日めでたくゆうくんとセックスする運びになったのですが。榊さんは少し大げさに驚きすぎです。
True enough.
だって一昨日まではキスもしていなかったのに、いきなりそのセックスでなんて誰でも驚くわよ。
ですが問題はそこではないんです。
というと、
実はセックスをすると決めたところまでは良かったのですが、セックスの前にはいわゆる前戯が必要ですよね。
ええ、女性にはいろいろと準備が必要だものね。
その通りです。そして私はゆうくんの愛撫によって見事にオーガズムを迎えたわけなのですが。
ということは小峰さん、言ったの？
はい、体が宙に浮く、もしくは意識がなくなってしまうような、そんな体験でした。
そう、意識がね。
榊さん、今自分がゆうくんの手で生かされるところを想像しましたね。
でも少しだけ、ほんの少しだけ映像が浮かんだだけよ。
そんなことまで答えてくれるなんて、榊さんはいい人ですね。
そんなことはどうでもいいのよ。でも小峰さんの悩みがそういうことに関係しているなら、相談先は周防さんの方が良かったかもしれないわね。
I don't think so, yo.
私は榊さんで間違いなかったと思いますよ。
そう？普通に考えたら周防さんの方がそういう知識を持っていそうじゃないかしら。
いえ、経験豊富そうに振る舞ってはいても、天音さんが私たちと同じ処女であることに変わりはないですし、榊さんが日頃のインターネットで巡回しているサイトを鑑みればそういう知識を持っているのはむしろ榊さんの方だと私は認識しています。
Gotta be more safely, or gotta browse your PC a bit more securely, Yumiko.
どうやってインターネットの巡回先なんて。
ログイン時のパスワード6桁くらいならかかっていないのと同じですから。お分かりいただけましたか？
ええ、小峰さんとは少し付き合い方を考えた方が良さそうだということがね。
では話の本題についてなのですが、
続けて。
私がオーガズムを迎えた後、ゆうくんはそのままセックスをしようとせずに途中でやめてしまったんです。
そうなの？
はい、ゆうくんは無理をして先を急ぐ必要はないとは言ってくれていたのですが、やはり私に至らないところがあったのではないかと思いまして。
なるほどね。
榊さんは どうしてゆうくんが途中で辞めたと思われますか？
そうね。今の話を聞いた限りでは、風見くんが小峰さんのことをただ大切にしているだけとも取れるわね。
ですが、ゆうくんくらいの男の子はみんな狼だと春寺さんもおっしゃっていましたし。
I can't deny that fact.
確かにそうかもしれないわね。
That doesn't mean some people don't have the self-control though, Sachi.
そう考えると、何か他に原因があったのではないかと思うんです。
それなら少し聞きたいのだけれど、その時風見くんのものはどうなっていたの？
そのものというのはゆうくんの男性器のことでしょうか？
ええ。もし風見くんの男性器が大きくなっていなかったとしたら、小峰さんとエッチなことをしているという意識すらなかった可能性が出てくるわ。
そうなんですか？
ええ。男性器というのは性的な興奮を覚えると勃起という現象が起こって大きくなるらしいから。
さすが榊さん、お詳しいですね。
変なところで感心しなくていいから、どうだったのか教えてちょうだい。
そうですね、注視していたわけではないので自信はないのですが、大きくなっていなかったような気がします。
だとしたらやっぱりそこが原因かもしれないわね。
というと？
風見くんは小峰さんに対して性的な興奮をしていなかったということよ。
Damn it, that's not true, damn you!
性的な興奮？
つまりエッチなことがしたいという気持ちになっていなかったということね。
Don't poison her mind, Sakaki! What the?
なるほど。確かにゆうくんは常に私のことを気遣ってくれていましたし、興奮しているという感じではなかった気がします。
だとしたらますますその可能性が高くなってくるわね。
そうなのでしょうか？
ええ。もともと男の子は経験のない女の子を面倒くさがるものらしいけれど、魅力的な女性が相手ならその限りではないはずでしょ。
Damn you, there are some people with self-restraint, I'm telling you, those people exist! I mean, I don't know if I'm one of them, but... I mean, so far I haven't had sex yet. So I could... Well, Yuji technically already had sex, you know, but... Doesn't mean that I don't understand wanting to treasure the girl that you're dating.
確かにその通りです。
だったら小峰さんのセックスアピールが足りなかったのかもしれないわ。
セックスアピール？
小峰さんは普段の格好からしてメイドのようなところがあるし、S っ気のある人にはたまらないいやらしさを持っていると思うのだけれど、風見くんのそばには魅力的な年上女性もいることだし、もっといやらしさを強調した方がいいのかもしれないわね。
ですが、私にいやらしさが出せるでしょうか？
少し待ってて。今パソコンで参考になるようなものがないか調べてみるから。
Damn you, Sakaki. You're poisoning her mind!
さすが榊さんです。いつでもアダルトサイトが閲覧できるようにモバイルパソコンを常備しているんですね。
相談の役に立つかと思って持ってきていただけよ。それより少し過激な表現や画像が出てくるかもしれないけど、覚悟してね。
はい、よろしくお願いします。
God, these people.
いつも思うのだけど、この時間のテレビはつまんない番組ばかりなのよさ。
Alright, I'm gonna end the episode right there. God. But yeah, I guess partially the reason why I like this route was that when it comes to romantic stuff, in some degree, I actually do feel like I would probably in Yuji's place or be in Yuji's state of mind if I were to find a
セー
girlfriend.
ブしますか？
Like, you know, in his approach in trying to make Sachi happy, not just in a superficial way, but trying to find her own happiness. And the fact that he treasures her and not just take her for granted, you know? I feel like I do want to have someone like that at some point. But then again, my standards are abnormally high. That's also because I put a lot of standard in myself. But alright, enough about that. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We got Sachan's first arrow scene, even though we didn't do anything except pleasuring her, technically. But hope you guys enjoyed it. The sex scene's gonna be on Patreon, as usual. This episode is also gonna be early on Patreon. But hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a like if you like it. And sub too, if you haven't, as usual. I'll be back Sunday, or sorry, not Sunday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 a.m. my time. And yeah, have a good day. See ya.